Hey folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, Mike's Instant Movie Review. This one's a little not so instant. I saw this movie yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, The Firing Squad 2024. Based on true events, it says. So what's this movie all about? Well, there's this voiceover. We hear from the voiceover. Pretty quickly, we're let in on that this will be a Christian film, a Jesus movie of sorts. A little bit of a different type of story for, Christian films. Like I've been saying for a few years now, there's a lot of these Christian faith movies that are coming at things a different way. We're not living in the Kirk Cameron, days, I guess, of Christian films. All types of stories are being told. This, I believe, was called Epoch, E-P-O-C-H Films, I think, was the distribution company. It was not Angel Studios. Of course, Angel Studios had a big hit in the summer of 2023 with their, Sound of Freedom movie, and they've had a few follow-ups, and this is not them. So, what's this story all about? Well, we learned pretty quickly. There's this drug dealer gentleman, I believe the character's name is Peter, and he's living the high life. He's got his buddy, and they're drug dealers, and they go to, I guess you would say, Asian countries. I think China is the country, to deal cocaine. It's not a good idea to do that. Somehow they get into Jakarta, which I believe Jakarta is part of Indonesia. Sorry if my geography is wrong. I'm not that informed of these places. I used to have a high school buddy that lived in Jakarta for a while, if you care. But basically, they're doing things that you shouldn't be doing in some of these countries that have really stiff penalties, namely The Firing Squad, which is where we get our title of the film. So how do I see this film? I have a lot of thoughts. First off, I don't want to cast aspersions. I don't know if this was a first-time director/writer. The writer-director was the same person. I did feel at times some things were a bit lacking, in my opinion. It felt like some of the, even like things like extras handling, like the extras, the background actors. There was a scene in a courtroom when basically Peter and his buddy there are condemned to death, and like the background actors playing, I guess, the people in the courtroom, the two people in the front row, like the two background actors really overacted, like really kind of hammed it up. And I think this is not, because I'm assuming, and I'm making assumptions here, that this was the first time these fine folks had been on a movie set, and maybe they weren't used to the thing with background acting. There is some skill to it, which is really resisting the urge to ham it up for the camera, and act natural. Although, yes, it's not natural to be on a movie set and to be pretending that you're in a courtroom where two guys have been sentenced to death. But these two people were kind of like they were really kind of over-exaggerating the expressions, in my opinion, the reactions. I mean, you're in a courtroom, you're in Jakarta, that for the most part they sentence people pretty harshly. So why are you so shocked? You know what I mean? There was other things like that. For instance, there's a scene where Eric Roberts is a nice gentleman. I've worked with him. Eric Roberts is playing like the United States consular, whatever the official title. This guy's about to hit me, for Christ's sakes. The consular, the lawyer of sorts, the U.S. representative in Jakarta, Eric Roberts, is playing that character, and he's got a desk, like a nice mahogany desk, and then my fucking bottom lip's driving me nuts, by the way. So he's got like a laptop computer on his desk, right? So the whole desk is clear, except he's got one computer, one laptop. There's no electrical plug. So, wow, this guy's got a good battery. There's no mouse plugged in. I'm sorry, but if I'm Eric Roberts and I'm an ambassador to Jakarta for the United States, I'm using a mouse. You know what I mean? Like my mouse, I've got a nice mouse. I've got a nice mouse pad. Do you see what I'm getting at? And the back of the computer, it seemed like it was a Macintosh laptop that had like electrical tape covering the Macintosh logo, the insignia, you know, the apple, right? So basically what happened is someone's like, oh, we need something on his desk. Oh, I grabbed somebody's laptop. Well, it's got the Apple logo. Oh, just put some gaffer tape on top of it. Because you can see like the gaffer tape or electrical tape basically peeling off the back of the laptop. Now you might be saying, well, gee whiz, Mike, we're really getting to the goddamn weeds of this laptop. My point is, there was either no set designer or the set designer was not the best, because if we're trying to make this guy's office look like a busy office where things are happening, and we're just putting one singular laptop with gaffer tape on the back of the laptop that's peeling off, no computer mouse, no electrical plug, it's just very off-putting. It's like, okay, I feel like just someone either, it would be better just to have the desk clear. Like, okay, this guy is so important, he just has a clear desk. You know, or maybe that shows that he's not doing a whole lot of work for these people, these clients. I mean, so you make a choice and you go with it, but just to have a last-minute laptop thrown on the desk, to someone like me who's been on a few movie sets in my day, yeah, I kind of can see this shit, okay? Then, I mean, and this is the thing with a movie where, you know, and I think with my feelings on this movie, first off, I do like the title, The Firing Squad. I think that's a cool title. I feel like the message of this film is stronger than the film itself. And it's really hard for me to talk about that without spoiling the whole movie. But I did feel like the end, so to speak, the final twist, was really pretty good. Like, pretty well executed, pretty strong. It's just getting there that I had a lot of issues. The other thing is, this is another one of these movies, maybe $500,000 budget, maybe $250,000 budget, who knows, $2 million, I don't know. But you can kind of see where they spent their money, which was basically getting some big name stars shoehorned into this film. Now you're saying, well, gee whiz, Mike, what does shoehorned mean? That's basically when you have something, in the way that I'm using the term, not literally about getting your foot into a shoe, but how do we get some stuff into this movie that's going to increase its production values and its ways of getting distribution? And that the simplest way, or one of the simplest ways, is get some name actors that people like, and sometimes people don't like, and put them in a movie, and people you can get for a fraction of the cost that you might have gotten them 20 or 30 years earlier. And that's no dispersions to any of these actors. They're wonderful people, I assume. Like I said, I worked with Eric Roberts. He's a great guy. And Eric will pretty much, you know, he likes acting, man. Like, Eric Roberts will show up. You pay him, he'll be there. And you don't have to, you know, spend a fortune on him. But basically, there's Eric Roberts. And it's like, okay, they had Eric Roberts for a day. He's got 2 interior scenes. So they had, like, the first one before lunch, the second one after lunch. This is the way that I'm thinking watching this film. Like, how did they put this thing together? Because I'm kind of familiar with these tricks of the trade. Here's Cuba Gooding Jr. And Cuba's here, and they probably had him for 2 days because he's got some interior shots and then some exterior shots. So they probably had him for 2 days. And here's Kevin Sorbo that they probably had for 3 or 4 days because he's in quite a bit of it. And he plays this pastor. So the way that I'm looking at this movie, I'm losing my magic what if, because I'm seeing through some of these things. I could be wrong, but there seemed to be a lot of establishing shots that might have been stock footage of like different countries and airlines and exteriors. There was a scene earlier in the film where the 2 drug dealer guys are approached by someone in the airport to, like, he's the guy in the airport's like giving them a what do they call the tracts or trips or whatever, like the little Christian books. And he's trying to give it to these guys, and they're basically blowing them off, and they're kind of stepping on the lines of each other. Here's the thing, and the way that the blocking seemed very much like the actors were all 3 of the actors in a particular airplane shot or airport shot they were all very conscious of the camera, and they were all kind of cropping their bodies to the camera. The camera wasn't really working towards getting the best shot. It's like they put the camera on stilts, as they say, on a tripod, and these actors had to kind of, you know, play to it. It just felt awkward to me. It felt very theatrical and staged, which is not good, okay? The other thing is, there's these two, and I know that these were based on true events, but these two actors, one guy's playing the main guy, Patrick, and for the first 20 minutes of the movie or so, we have like his little running buddy, his little drug dealing pal, and it looks like the two actors both auditioned for Peter, the main guy, and then the one guy got the role, and then the other guy was such a nice guy or good actor, like, oh, well, you can have the buddy role. My point, you might have to see this movie to get this, what I'm saying. The two actors looked like the same guy. It's like, are these supposed to be brothers? They had like the same hairstyle and everything. One guy was just like a bigger version of the other guy. And it's like, it's kind of confusing, because like, which guy is which, because they look very similar. I don't think the characters were supposed to be brothers. They were supposed to be friends. But these guys could play brothers in a movie. Just one's like the bigger version. Like one's the extra large and one's the medium or whatever the fuck. But it's like, in a movie, my opinion, to distinguish characters, they should look differently. And even if that's like you purposely cast people that look different just so that the audience doesn't get confused. You know what I mean? But they didn't do that here. These actors looked way too similar to each other. There was not a contrast. Jonah Hill and what's his dick? Tatum Channing, whatever the fuck his name is. They look so much different when they did that 21 Jump Street movie from each other. Then it's like, okay, you got this one, you got that one. You know what I mean? Or twins, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. No confusion who's who. This movie, confusion, because they look alike. So then we get into the whole legal system stuff. This is why I don't travel to other countries, by the way. No offense to all my wonderful Indian friends, all my European friends, my Paris friends watching the Olympics, whatever the fucks. I just don't want to travel and go through the whole embassies and passports and horse shit. I don't trust anybody. I don't want anyone having power over my life and death. So here's another movie that basically rubber stamps my paranoia of worldwide travel, because, but not that I'm going to be doing the devious things that these characters are doing, but still, you don't have the representation. And Eric Roberts comes in for 5 minutes. Well, I hope I can get you out, gentlemen, but he doesn't really give a shit. So these guys are condoned to prison. The two guys that look a lot like each other, they get sent to different prisons, which is kind of good for the movie, because then we don't have the conflict of like, who's the star of this film? Why do these guys look so much alike? There's a female character who, for whatever reason, just gets let off the hook. And it seems like the guy that's kind of like the judge, jury, and executioner of Jakarta, apparently, he's like the guy that investigates the crimes. He runs the prison. Like, he does everything. But he's basically letting the woman go just to prove that women can't be trusted, or some such thing. We get into the prison, and Kevin Sorbo is already a prisoner there, and he's like the religious dude. He's like the guy who's pushing Christianity, which is fine. The thing, I mean, I even had issues with the actual Bible in this movie, like the book, like the actual copy. It seemed to me like one of those, you know, you go to a church or you go to a hotel and like they have like a paperback, kind of like thin paper, like a, you know, fairly inexpensive version of the Bible. Yes, the Bible is priceless and every page is worth a golden stack, but like the actual copy of the Bible that they use for a while is like some hotel flimsy Bible, which I guess in a sense is kind of the point. Like, hey, you don't need to have a fancy Bible. It doesn't have to be something you buy at the Bible Christian store for $40, leather embossed spine. It can be like the cheapo. I mean, you could go to the Dollar Tree and buy a stack of Bibles for $1.25 now each. So my point is, but it wasn't cinematic. It was like this kind of like fresh from the Dollar Tree Bible wasn't cinematic to me. Eventually there's a regular Bible comes in, or a leather bound, or whatever the fuck. Then of course you have the Angel of Mercy. This character kind of gets shoehorned in, or the romantic interest comes in very late in the game. Like 3/4 into the movie, we meet our romantic interest. At times in this film, it felt like, no offense to the writer-director, I'm sure he worked very hard, and kudos to him. He got his movie made and he got it distributed. But it did feel like, to me, some of the dialogue was very on the nose. There's a line that you hear me say a lot in these reviews, which I hate in films. Are you okay? You go to a movie, and if you start hearing the characters ask each other, are you okay? You know that it's kind of a hack film. This one had kind of like an older school version of that, which is one character saying a bunch of stuff, and the other character says, what do you mean? And then the first character explains all the shit they just said. So that's like, I've learned, in my opinion, as a writer, you can just take out the character saying, what do you mean? Like, that can just be delete, backspace. You don't need any character to say ever in a film, what do you mean? You can just cut to the other character nodding their head, looking attentively. I'm hearing you. I'm listening. But I think what happens when you're a writer, and I've done this, in my youth, is you kind of have to remind yourself as a writer that another character's in the scene. So you have them say the most generic, bland, dog shit line of dialogue. What do you mean? And then the first character gets to explain. So if you hear that in a movie, it's not good dialogue. And unfortunately, we hear that in one of the prison scenes. What else? The character that's probably the most interesting, both performance-wise and written-wise, was the jail warden guy, the judge, jury, and executioner. His performance was a little all over the place. I mean, I kind of felt like, maybe this is just stupid American guy stuff, I kind of felt like the character could have had like a nice accent of some kind, but he didn't. I thought the performance was good. At times it felt a little wobbly or whatever the fuck, but I thought it was overall pretty good as the antagonist, the kind of the Darth Vader type of guy in this movie. The lead guy, Peter, I kind of had mixed feelings on. I thought he had a great look for an actor. He had nice hair. But I mean, it did seem like the prisoners in this Jakarta prison had a lot of access to hair product. You know what I mean? Because there's several characters in the prison, all these male prisoners, that have all these wonderful hairstyles. Like, how do they get all this hair product in the prison? Like, we know that we're going to kill you. We're going to send you to the firing squad, but we want you to look good while we kill you. So we're going to supply, hair paste and hair putty and mousse and all this and nice conditioner. Like, these prisoners had like really good hair for prisoners, because it's a fucking movie and all these actors show up on set and they all want to look so goddamn pretty with their fucking hair. But gentlemen, you're in a Jakarta prison. You're supposed to look a little dirty, a little dusty, okay? Some of the costumes felt a little too pressing cleaned. Like, I'm just telling you from what I'm seeing, like even like the prison guy, like it didn't seem like it felt like everything was too clean. Like the costumes were just too clean, like freshly cleaned costumes for everybody. So it kind of makes you feel like you're watching a movie, which you're supposed to feel like you're in a situation. So I'm just telling you. I guess I'm hard on this film because I felt like there was a good message in the movie, but it was kind of buried under some stuff. Cuba Gooding Jr., Oscar winner, right, for Jerry Maguire 25 years ago. Interesting. I mean, in this movie, his performance is really quite good. And you can see that Cuba, like, kind of brought out the big-time Cuba, like, acting skills. Where has Cuba been? I mean, like, in this movie, he got a lot of gravitas, a lot of gravity to his performance here. But it kind of felt like a meme. Like, towards the end of the movie, he's another prisoner who's sentenced to death. And he starts, like, there's two scenes within 5 minutes of each other where they're singing Amazing Grace. And it's like, this is another kind of tip-off to a first-time writer or whatever the fuck. You set up the whole Amazing Grace thing in one scene, and then 5 minutes later, when they're getting sentenced to death, you're paying it off. So in a sitcom, they'll like Seinfeld or Three's Company, they'll plant something early in the sitcom, and then 5, 10, 15 minutes later, you get a payoff. In a feature film, if you set something up, you have 90 minutes to pay it off. These guys, it's like, okay, we're going to set up our Amazing Grace song, and then 5 minutes later, we're going to pay it off. It's like, no, you should have set that up earlier. The Cuba's performance was interesting because he just kind of shows up and he outshines the main guy, meaning like you believe more about Cuba's character in 2 seconds than you do about Peter the whole movie. There's a sequence where like Peter doesn't stand up for a while. He meets, of course, when he's sentenced to die, the one woman in the film is the love interest, the angelic, which is always an interesting word to use on a woman character. Oh, she's angelic, meaning she's pasty white and has nice eyes. That's basically what angelic translates to. So she comes in, she's angelic. You know, she seemed like a nice enough actress. Her whole character is, I don't cry. And then we get the whole, well, why don't you cry? Or you don't have to cry. I don't cry because my daddy fucking told me not to. And then he died, and mommy told me not to cry at daddy's funeral. Okay. Well, this is a whole other movie here. I mean, we're getting a lot of exposition on this chick, why she doesn't cry. So what's his dick? Peter, like, proposes to her. He doesn't get down on one knee. She accepts, you know, why not? You're going to get shot tomorrow. We might as well get married today. Doesn't even get down on one knee. Then she has to run off and get her own ring. Like, he couldn't have just taken a piece of grass and, like, fucking felt it up or something. You know what I mean? And then here's the thing. These two characters have 2 scenes with each other where a kiss might have been nice. He proposes marriage to this woman the day before his death. She accepts. And then they hug. There's no kiss. You just propose to the prison counselor Jesus lady and you're not going to kiss her on the lips. Then they're in his prison cell, which seemed like it wouldn't be allowed, but she's in his prison cell moments before he's sent to his death. And they hug again. I don't get it. You're supposed to be like in love and all this horse shit, and you're married now, but you're not kissing your bride. You're about to get killed, and you can't kiss your woman on the mouth. So I don't know. It felt to me like this movie kind of needed someone to go over the script a few times, tighten some of these things, because there was a good movie in here somewhere. It just wasn't on the screen. I can't even speak now. I need to drink this protein shake. I'm so upset. I don't know what to say. I thought the movie had potential, but you can't live off potential, right? You can't watch a movie based on potential. And I just don't know. I feel like they had some things going nicely for the movie, and like I said, I give the guy credit for making this movie. And he got Cuba Gooding, and he got the other one, and the other one. And I thought Cuba and Kevin Sorbo, for all the, Kevin Sorbo controversies, if there are any, I thought they both did very well. And I thought Eric, was fine. He didn't have a lot to play with. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the lead guy. I think, the lead guy kind of felt like a work in progress. Like, I feel like as an actor, he can be a great actor or a good actor. I just don't think his character was written as very blasé, like, I'm going to die tomorrow, and I feel fine about it. I can't wait, because I'm going to meet the Lord, and when he's chasing after the Jesus lady, and he's like a high school boy asking her to the prom, it's just, I don't know, it just felt weird. Like, I can't, I love to go. I love to get to know you. I know I'm a prisoner, but I'd love to get to know you. It's like, okay. So anyway, folks, that's it. The Firing Squad. So, I hope I didn't make anyone cry for my review. I have to be honest. One Man and a Camera Films. If you want to watch my movies and dissect them into little bits, One Man and a Camera Films. The Impeccable, Blood Sugar Sedace, Disregard the Vampire, Mike Messier documentary. One Mike Messier for Mike's Instant Movie Reviews, one artist Mike Messier for my paintings, and one Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel.